Hi friends, so in this video I want to talk to you about the rule of three, really important rule in the music composition, and we will work with this rule based on this project. We have this extra melody, some hi-hats. Alright, so this rule of three is really important because it will help your tracks be more engaging to the listener. Main idea of this rule is that you don't want to repeat some idea or some pattern more than 2 times. So when you repeat something 3 times, it's irritating, it's getting boring, so we want to avoid that. And this translates to the sequence and to the whole combination of different elements. So let me show you what I mean. So if we take this bass line, for example, let's focus on the bass line. And by the way, if you want to learn how to make this greedy bass line, check out this tutorial above after we watch this video. You see, if I would only have this bass line, this sequence for 1 bar, we will repeat this pattern of kick and the bass after 1, 2, 3. Now this will be our third repetition, which will make our whole combination, whole song boring only at third bar. So to avoid that, we want to introduce some variations and modulations. So the most effective thing is to just make some longer loop. So if I make longer loop, as you can see, as I made it here, we now have our first repetition here and our second repetition here. So we are getting to that kind of like a boring zone after 4 bars. Let's listen. Yeah, and now I can feel that we are getting into something new. Of course, this works on a combination of 2 elements, but when we add the third element, let's say we have those stops, and let's look at those stops. So they are 4 bars in length, so we will repeat this pattern after let me just turn off so after 4 bars and the next 4 bars. So we could easily play this combination of elements for whole phrase, so 8 bars. But let's look at the pattern itself. When we look at this pattern, this is like a first combination, so we have C, G, A, E flat, F, E flat, G, C, and then we have the similar pattern, the similar contour, but I made a small change. So this is something we want to avoid as well on a sequence base. So if I would make this guy, for example, moving here, because as you can see, this thing is shifted over here to the right. So we are getting like the bit change in the, yeah, it's like a 16th bar gap. But if I would turn this guy here, let's take a look what will happen. We will have a note and a pause, then we would have a note and a pause. So this is like a second repetition of the same rhythmic pattern. And if I would keep it here, we would have note and a pause, which will make us repeating the same rhythmic pattern 3 times. So this is what we want to avoid on a sequence base. Let's listen how this would sound. I will loop it for 2 bars only. Not bad, but let's move this one here. I think this 2 bars or 2/16 here just make this thing a bit more like there's anticipation, and this makes this sequence interesting. So then when we make it 4 bar long once again, sorry, till 5, we can see that on the second half I raised that note, so that F, I raised that F up above, so instead of going to F over here, we are going to A flat, and then we have the same, basically the same pattern. So if we would have in this pattern this thing, we would, no, sorry, we wouldn't. Okay, if we wouldn't have that change, yeah, if it would be like repeating the same thing all over, so this thing will be also like that, and this thing will be also like that, we would have like, after this circle, we will have 1, 2, and 3, the same repetitions of the same pattern. So that's why even on the in the sequence base, you want to apply this rule of 3. Yeah, hope that makes sense. So we know now that we can go for as long as one phrase, but we have also different elements. Let's take a look at different elements we have here. We have this pattern. It's only 1 bar loop, so 2 bars and we are done. It doesn't help us. Then we have this pattern. Doesn't help us because like tick, 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 it's basically the same. But then we have, yeah, it's just a texture, so texture doesn't work. But I've added some extra hats, and this is what I like to do, like to add a bit of variation and to make my loops a bit longer without being boring, just to add some single splashes of hi-hats or some other percussive elements with a big echo and maybe a touch of reverb. And let's see how that's gonna sound. So we are focusing on this guy. Yeah, so we have something like, yeah, and we came to the end of the phrase, but because of that idea, that sequence is 8 bar long, I can easily play this twice. Yeah, remember rule of 3. So the same combination of elements only happened once in that phrase, and now we will have the second repetition. So yeah, we can easily play this thing 2 times. And that's all right. I have also those claps, and this is another idea how to escape this rule. So to have irregular loops, like we have a loop that it's a length of 6, so it's a polymeter, and then yeah, so when we start this loop, we can see how it loops really irregularly, which makes the whole thing even less repetitive. Let me turn this off. Maybe I could start with this guy, and then maybe. No, that's too much. Okay. Now we came to the second, the end of the second phrase, and at this point I think this this project needs a bit more variation. Of course, it could use some automation, which I have here, but I need to reset the LFO, so let me just do that really quickly. Yeah, so there's a bit of movement on that, like. This helps also, as this is a bit of automation, and then introducing new elements. So I have those 2 new elements, this guy, which you can find in my HTTP 38 free racks, link is above, and this another guy also found in this pack. Yeah, this texture. And I have a bit of effects as well for once, but honestly, we could go without it. Let's do something like that then. And then I have a bit of Q&A. So the first place, and then the second, yeah? The first one, the second. And because we have pretty much the same 1, 2, 1, 2, it becomes boring. So we want to escape the boringness. That's why we will add a bit of automation on those elements. So we have an automation on the element at the top, and then once we complete this phrase, we can add a bit of effects. And I was showing how to make those effects, link above in the previous video. So I'm just having a simple drum rack with effects and a bit of echo. So let's hear it from here. And we hear how this automation changes things. There is a bit of automation on the bass line. And we had an effect. Yeah, nice. And I can now put things down. Effects, I have effects. Okay, and now we are repeating basically the same thing. So this will become boring, so maybe that's a bit too much, but this could make a perfect intro in my opinion. And now if I will just let me have everything, and I will duplicate it, and on the second half we can, for example, introduce the melody. So let's do thing and then melody. So I think of like doing this thing, yeah, and melody starts like that. And now I can focus on the melody thing. And maybe I can turn on hi-hat. And we move on. So one more thing I wanted to show you, another idea how to escape the boringness of the loop, and I already told about it with those claps, so having irregular loop, but you can have irregular loops in your sequences as well, like in this melodic sequence in mono sequencer, which I was showing you again, link is above. So there's like a 1-2 bar loop, sorry, pulse hall, no, we wanted pulse to be 1/8. Yeah, so we have 1/8 pulse, so we have 2 bars because there is pulse hall, what the fuck, pulse 1/18, yeah. Okay, 16 steps, pulse is 1/8, so we have 2 bars, but the velocity is cycling over 14 of eighths, yeah, so it's a polymeter, the same as octave, the duration goes on, and we have even something more even crazy, so 15 over 16 with the repeat. So this makes this mono sequencer really hypnotic because it uses polymeters and those extra changes of the pattern itself, and I can add to that all those automations as well. And with all the other elements I can basically play with this loop and those different combinations, maybe let's drop hi-hats here. Yeah, and maybe I can add a noise of splash of noise. Yeah, let me do this guy, so it's like a maybe I can just take out Okay, that will be it. I hope that made sense for you. Please take out with you, don't repeat stuff 2 times on a sequence base or in the composition base. So I mean, don't have um, don't repeat 3 times the same combination of elements because it will make your tracks boring and irritating, and we want to avoid that. We want to have this hypnosis, but we want to avoid being boring. Okay, thank you for being with me, and if you want to learn more about, for example, writing rhythms to your bass tracks, check out this video on my right side, your left side, which is over here. Till the next time, bye.